I'm thinking back across the years, a thing I do of late, and these words stick between me ears. You've got to have a mate. My mind goes back to 43, slavery innate, where man's one chance to stay alive depended on his mate.
To many people, the campaign itself was Save Australia. Many people still believe that if the Japanese hadn't got to Port Moresby, they would have then continued on down to Australia.
It was one of the most heroic episodes in Australia's war history. There are not too many soldiers left from the Kokoda campaign. Those still with us are now well into their 90s. It seems a lifetime ago that they were landed into the jungles of Papua New Guinea to hold back the enemy in the Pacific.
Trooper Reginald Thomas Rudd Davis,
Dick Payton, Bombardier,
Reginald James Chard, Roy Dockery,
Raymond Gentles, Corporal, NX 192727. They weren't coming down here on a social visit, they were coming there to take this country off us. And we knew if we didn't stop them in New Guinea, chances were they would come on to Australia and none of us would have been actually here today if that would have happened.
75 years may have passed, but for Ray Gentles, the memories of the Kokoda campaign remain forever fresh.
Most vivid memory is when we first went into battle against the Japanese. Our first impression was, as we were walking in towards where they were dug in their bunkers, is to see the number of troops that had already been killed, Americans and Australians and Japanese. They were still on the ground and we had to walk over the top of them. What a horrible place it was.
Roy Dockery arrived into the Kokoda track via the Middle East, where conditions could not have been more different.
I was an artillery signaller. I was in the field regiment, and the field regiment is 24 guns. We only got 2 guns up to a place called Owers Corner out of 24, and the conditions were absolutely shocking. We were bombed, of course, bombed every night. We used to get an air raid alert from up the coast that the Japanese bombers were coming over. So then we had to get in a split trench. When we used to get the message, we're a bit reluctant to get out of bed and to slowly then go back to sleep. And then the next thing you know, bomb crash, the bombs are coming down, you get out in a hurry.
For Reg Davis, home was a long way away.
2 types of enemies, Japanese and disease. 17 times I had malaria.
You'd have wet clothes almost all the time. Wet shoes, wet boots, I should say.
And it was raining, it was wet, it's muddy.
Oh golly, silent, root-infested jungle tracks with death traps, impenetrable jungle. Land crabs would walk around you and bite you. Spider webs, if you got on the track there, leeches. And as you went through a small green tree, snake would drop from the trees onto your end, your neck and half choke you. But all this was overcome by our patrolling, our forward scouts, and the unsurpassed courage of our Australian servicemen.
Dick Payton was one of many who lost good mates.
And the Japanese were really pushing very hard at this time, and they put us back into a defensive situation. I do believe the worst thing that I remember would be a mate dying, and I couldn't do anything about that. I just had to hold his hand and while he died, and we were both the same age. We lost many men, of course, but that particular case was something that sticks in my memory.
They were young, some 17, 18 years of age, had very little training here in Australia, and then made their way up to stop an enemy that was on the go. The enemy, in actual fact, was a very professional enemy, well equipped, well trained.
Heroics were a daily occurrence in this incredibly harsh campaign.
There was only 1 Victoria Cross given out in the whole of that campaign. And why they didn't get them? You've got to be seen by an officer doing the act, and it's got to be reported that day. You've got no idea the things that men did. It's just unbelievable. Look, I seen a man swim across the crocodile-infected river. And anyway, he was a champion swimmer. We had to get across this river and we had a rope, and he said, well, I'll swim across. So what we did is we just threw lots of hand grenades in. Of course, the crocodiles eat each other. And he jumped in the water and swam across the river. He made it across the river. He was killed just after that.
The Kokoda Track Memorial Walkway at Rhodes Park in Concord is a living memorial to honour the heroic servicemen and women who served in World War II. It remembers the harshest of battlefields, and it's proudly maintained and supported by our surviving Kokoda veterans. Weekly school trips are guided by the men who saw action at these real-life stations.
Yeah, Ray and Roy and I, we come here, we whinge and groan, and we think, oh, you know, how lucky we are. We are lucky, you know. I mean, we can wake up every morning, you see the sun, and you can do this and do that. I never saw anything.
We can be very thankful for those young men and women who were brave, very dedicated, and of course, typical Australians.
We lost a lot of mates. We had 98 killed and 168 wounded.
364 killed in the first 20 minutes. Pretty deadly.
It did affect some people much more than others.
We realised how important it was to be a soldier. We were doing things that never been done before, and we realised we were capable of more than we thought we were capable of.
To do our duty, main thing.
We helped to save Australia, and you know, we lost so many men doing it. The only good comes of war is mateship. Mateship is very important to all of us. Although it's all so long ago, the truth I have to state, a man don't know what lonely means until he's lost his mate. And when I've left the driver's seat and handed in me plates, I'll tell old Peter at the door, I've come to join me mates.